Hello. This is a video going over the next couple pages of science. We've started to learn about ecosystems, and we are mainly going to be using the reader that is posted on BrightThinker for you. But today we're going to be reading from Science Source instead, which is where we got some of our information about animals. So we heard a little bit about a few vocabulary terms that we're going to see again today in today's reading. One of them is organism. Do you remember what an organism is? An organism is a living thing, okay? So would that make it a biotic factor or an abiotic factor within an ecosystem? Biotic. We also heard about species, populations, and communities. Do you remember what a species is? It's a particular type of organism that is, for example, a flamingo. Okay, so a flamingo is a species. Not all birds are in that same species. The species is just flamingos. Okay, let's take a look at some pages here. And here is a really helpful visual of the difference between each of these. So we've got an organism here, one bunny. There's a population of a bunch of those same bunnies. And then community. Now, a community has not just rabbits, but it also has some foxes and trees. Okay, so the community is not just that one species. Okay, so organisms interact with each other. They interact with organisms of the same kind. For example, robins can compete with other robins for the same nesting places. They also interact with organisms of a different kind. For example, robins eat earthworms. Those are within the same ecosystem. They're not the same species, but they do have an interaction. Now, a species is a group of organisms that can mate and produce offspring like themselves. The offspring can also mate and produce more organisms like themselves. For example, a male gray squirrel and a female gray squirrel can mate and produce offspring, meaning they have babies. Now, the young gray squirrels look like their parents. When the young gray squirrels mature, they can mate and produce more gray squirrels. Some organisms that look pretty similar are not actually from the same species. For example, a goose and a duck look very similar. They both have feathers, webbed feet, and flat bills, but a goose and a duck cannot mate to produce offspring. They are members of different species. Now, all of the organisms of the same species that live in the same place at the same time are called a population. You might have occasionally hear of the word population referring to the number of people who live in a place, which relates very clearly to this. Now, humans are of the same species, and we have certain areas where we congregate, like all in the Northwest Arkansas region, or maybe all Bentonville, or even within one neighborhood. Right? So that's kind of like a population. And the same thing can happen for like all geese who live in the same place, or all flamingos that live in the same place. They're the same species living together. Now, all Canada geese, for example, are members of the same species. Here's a picture of Canada geese. The Canada geese that live at the same lake in the same summer form a population. So are geese all over the world in the same population? No. The geese in one specific area, like one lake, they form a population. Mallard ducks that live at the lake are another population. Ducks and geese are not the same species. So there's a grouping of Canada geese that might be all together at this lake, and a grouping of mallard ducks at that same lake, but they're a different population. Sorry, that's the UPS man, I think. Now, lake trout that live in the lake form a third population. Cattails that grow around the edge of the lake form another population. Now, populations that live in the same place at the same time make up a community. I apologize for that, boys and girls. I think somebody's working on my roof today, and I'll have to end this video and start another one. But this is the end of this one.